The unexpected visitor, Finn Caldwell's hands trembled as he added another log to the fireplace. 3 years since he'd returned from the war. 3 years since he'd chosen isolation over society, and still the tremors persisted. Outside his remote Montana cabin, snow fell in thick curtains, blanketing the forest in pristine white. The tremors weren't from fear. They were reminders of what military medical officers witnessed in combat zones. Memories etched into muscle and bone. The night sky erupted with light. Finn rushed to his window as a blazing object cut through. The darkness, trailing fire and smoke before disappearing behind the ridge a mile from his property. The impact shook the cabin, rattling dishes and sending his dog, Rex, into a frenzy of barking. "Easy, boy," Finn muttered, already pulling on his winter gear. Meteorites weren't uncommon in these parts, but something about the trajectory seemed controlled, deliberate. The trek through knee-deep snow took 40 minutes. Rex bounded ahead, nose to the ground, until they crested the ridge. Below lay a smoking crater where pine trees had been flattened in a perfect circle. At the center sat a metallic object no larger than a compact car, its surface rippling with colors that shouldn't exist in nature. As Finn approached, a section of the craft dissolved, revealing a humanoid figure slumped inside. She was clearly female in form, with iridescent blue skin and silver markings that pulsed with light. Dark liquid oozed from a gash in her abdomen. "Hello?" Finn called. Medical training overriding caution. "Can you understand me?" The alien's eyes snapped open, 3 of them, arranged in a triangle on her face. They focused on Finn with unnerving intensity. "Help," she said in perfect English, though her mouth didn't move. The word echoed inside Finn's mind. "They're coming." Finn hesitated only a moment. Whoever she was, she needed medical attention. And they sounded ominous. "Can you walk?" he asked. She attempted to rise, but collapsed. Finn made his decision and lifted her from the craft. She weighed surprisingly little, her skin cool against his hands as he carried her away. Military helicopters appeared on the horizon. Government response teams, already tracking the anomaly. Too quick for a random meteorite. "We need to move fast," Finn whispered. "I'll help you, but you need to tell me what I'm getting into." The alien's 3 eyes blinked in unison. "My name is Nix," the voice in his head whispered. "And you just became the most wanted man on your planet," Rex whined, as Finn carried Nix toward the cabin, leaving footprints that would soon be covered by fresh snow. Behind them, the alien craft shimmered once, then vanished entirely. Hidden Strength's morning light filtered through the cabin windows as Finn cleaned the wound on Nix's abdomen. The alien lay still on his bed, her breathing shallow but steady. The injury should have been fatal, a 6-inch gash that exposed what appeared to be internal organs unlike any human anatomy he'd studied, yet she lived. "Your physiology is remarkable," Finn murmured, more to himself than to her. "You're already healing. My species regenerates." Nix's voice filled his mind, making him jump. Her 3 eyes regarded him curiously. "Your care is unexpected." "I was a medical officer," Finn explained, bandaging the wound. "Helping the injured is what I do. Even alien intruders." There was amusement in her mental voice. "Especially those." Finn smiled despite himself. "What happened up there?" Before she could answer, Rex started growling at the window. Finn peered through the curtains to see 3 black SUVs moving slowly along the forest road below. Government. Vehicles undoubtedly searching for the crash site tanned its occupant. "They're persistent," Nix observed, sitting up with surprising ease given her condition. "They?" Finn asked, stepping away from the window. "Who exactly are they?" "Your military? It detected my ship 2 days ago. I was pursued," she winced, touching her bandage. "Not all humans fear what they don't understand." "You didn't?" Finn felt heat rise to his face under her triple gaze. "Don't mistake medical ethics for bravery." "I mistake nothing," Nix replied. She stood, moving with sudden grace that belied her injury. "Your hands still shake from what you've witnessed, yet you ran toward an unknown crash rather than away." Lenz stared as she approached him, her movements fluid like water. Up close, The patterns on her skin shifted and swirled hypnotically. "How did you learn our language?" he asked, trying to maintain professional distance despite their proximity. "I've been studying Earth for some time." Her mental voice softened. "Though books didn't prepare me for the reality of humans." Outside, car doors slammed. Footsteps crunched on snow. "They'll check all nearby residences," Finn whispered, pulling her away from the window. "We need to hide you, or I could hide us both," Nick suggested. Before Finn could question her meaning, she placed her three-fingered hand against his chest. Energy pulsed between them, warm and electric. A sharp knock rattled the door. "Dr. Caldwell?" a stern voice called. "This is Commander Wallace, National Security. I need to ask you some questions." Finn looked at Nix in panic, but she merely smiled. At least her eyes crinkled in what seemed like the equivalent. "They cannot see us," she explained. "Not while we touch." His heart raced beneath her cool fingers as the door handle turned. Dangerous Revelations Commander Wallace strode through Finn's cabin as if he owned it, flanked by two stone-faced agents. They searched methodically, opening closets, checking under furniture, all while Finn and Nick stood frozen against the wall, her hand still pressed to his chest. "Fascinating," Nix's voice whispered in Finn's mind. "Your heart rate increases with proximity. Is this fear? Or something else?" Finn swallowed hard, unable to respond without giving away their position. It wasn't fear, not entirely. Something about Nix's touch triggered responses he hadn't felt since before the war. "The target is healing rapidly," Wallace announced, studying a handheld device. "It's somewhere nearby. Expand the search perimeter." Once they departed, Nix released Finn, and they became visible again. "You can manipulate light," Finn gasped. "What else can you do?" "Many things," she replied, stretching languidly. Her wound had already shrunk considerably. "My people are what you might call diplomats. We adapt to survive." "Diplomats don't usually flee from military pursuit," Finn pointed out. Nix's eyes darkened slightly. "No, but sometimes we're mistaken for invaders when we're merely ... explorers." That night, as moonlight spilled through the windows, Finn found Nix studying his bookshelf, tracing spines with delicate fingers. "You've collected knowledge but live alone," she observed. "Why isolate yourself among these trees?" "The war showed me enough of humanity," Finn answered, pouring himself a whiskey. "I saw what people do to each other. Needed distance. Yet you help a stranger who fell from the sky." Nix turned toward him, her skin luminescent in the darkness. "There's contradiction in you." Finn's breath caught as she approached. Up close, her alien features seemed increasingly beautiful rather than strange, the symmetry of her three eyes, the graceful contours of her face. "What does Wallace want with you?" he asked, changing the subject. "My ship contains technology your world isn't ready for," she explained. "And my body has properties they would find valuable. Military applications." Understanding dawned. "You're a weapon." "It can be," she admitted. "But that's not why I came to Earth." The tension between them shifted as her hand found his. This touch wasn't about invisibility. It was exploration, curiosity. "Then why did you come?" Finn whispered. "To find something worth saving," she replied, leaning closer. "I believe I have." The kiss was gentle, electric literally, as tiny sparks danced where their lips met. Finn should have been shocked, terrified even, but instead found himself drawing her closer. Outside, lights swept through the trees as more vehicles arrived. Their time was running out. Escape and connection dawn broke as Finn and Nix fled through the forest, Rex leading the way through secret paths known only to a man who'd spent years mapping his sanctuary. Behind them, smoke rose from the cabin. Wallace had ordered it burned when he discovered it empty. "He won't stop," Finn panted as they paused by a stream. "Wallace has built his career on proving extraterrestrial threats exist, and I'm his evidence."
Ow.
Nix moved with increasing strength, her wound now just a silver line across blue skin. "I've put you in danger." "I put myself here," Finn replied, filling their canteen. "First interesting thing to happen since I moved to this mountain." Nix's mental laugh warmed his mind. "Is that what I am? Interesting?" Their eyes met, understanding passing between them without words. Since last night's kiss, boundaries had blurred between alien and human. Between strangers and something more intimate, they made camp in a cave as night fell, the small fire casting shadows across stone walls. Outside, drones buzzed in the distance, systematic in their search pattern. My ship will have repaired itself by now, Nix explained, tracing patterns on Finn's palm. Self-healing technology. If we can reach it, we can leave. Leave where? Finn asked. Anywhere? Her three eyes blinked in sequence. There are worlds where beings like us, those who don't quite fit, find peace. Sanctuary worlds. Finn considered the life he'd built, or rather, the life he'd hidden within. Years of isolation hadn't healed his war wounds. They'd merely preserved them, as if reading his thoughts. Nix moved closer, her cool skin against his, sending pleasant shivers through his body. Your heart rate is increasing again, she observed. Not from fear, Finn admitted. Drawing her to him, their bodies entwined beneath the stars visible through the cave entrance. Differences in biology, creating unexpected sensations as they explored each other. Her skin emitted soft light that pulsed with her pleasure, illuminating their sanctuary with blues and silvers. I've studied humans extensively, Nix whispered afterward, curled against him. But experiencing connection is... different. Finn traced the markings on her shoulder, watching them respond to his touch. Is this common where you come from? In terse. Diplomacy. Nix finished with amusement. Not common, but not forbidden. My mission was to evaluate Earth's readiness for contact, to understand humans intimately. And your conclusion? Finn asked. Most aren't ready, she said softly. But some are. The drones grew louder outside. Their moment of peace was ending. The sanctuary beyond the ridge looked different in daylight, less ominous than the night Nix had crashed into Finn's life. Her ship, now visible again, gleamed like polished opal beneath the morning sun. Unfortunately, they weren't the first to arrive. Commander Wallace stood before the craft, surrounded by soldiers in tactical gear, waiting. He knows we're coming, Finn whispered from their vantage point in the trees. Rex growled softly beside them. Yes. Nix's mental voice was calm. This confrontation was inevitable. Could find another way. There isn't time. She touched his face gently. Trust me now, as I trusted you. Before he could protest, Nix walked into the clearing, her blue skin brilliant against the snow. Wallace's men raised their weapons immediately. Finally, Wallace called, smiling coldly. I was beginning to think you'd abandoned your vessel. I needed to heal, Nix replied, her actual voice audible for the first time, melodic and resonant across the clearing. And to learn. Wallace gestured to the soldiers. Your educational vacation is over. We have questions that require answers. I've already given my answer to the one human who matters, Nix responded, continuing forward despite the weapons trained on her. This world isn't ready for contact. That's not your decision to make, Wallace snarled, drawing his own sidearm. The first shot echoed across the ridge before Finn could shout a warning. But instead of striking Nix, the bullet froze midair, suspended inches from her chest. More shots followed, dozens all stopping before reaching her. Nix's three eyes glowed with intensity as she raised her hands. And the suspended bullets turned, hovering like deadly metallic raindrops. Enough, Finn shouted, rushing from hiding with Rex at his heels. She came in peace. Wallace turned his weapon toward Finn, another traitor to humanity. The bullet never left the chamber. Wallace froze, his face contorted in shock as Nix's power held him immobile. You're wrong, Nix stated calmly. He represents the best of humanity. The part worth saving. The soldiers lowered their weapons slowly, some by choice, others compelled by the same force holding Wallace. We're leaving, Nix announced. Tell your leaders that Earth remains quarantined until its people evolve beyond fear. The ship hummed to life behind her, its entrance materializing from seemingly solid metal. Finn stood transfixed, suddenly aware of the choice before him. Come with me, Nix urged, extending her hand. The sanctuary worlds welcome healers especially. Finn looked back at the forest that had been his refuge and prison, then at Rex, who watched him with trusting eyes. Does your ship allow dogs? he asked. Nix's mental laugh filled him with warmth. We'll make accommodations. As they boarded, Wallace found his voice. You'll regret this betrayal, Caldwell. Finn turned one last time. It's not betrayal to choose a different path. It's just evolution. The ship sealed around them, and Earth fell away beneath first the forest, then the continent, then the blue-green sphere itself. Shrinking to a distant point among countless stars. Are you certain? Nix asked, her fingers intertwined with his, as Rex explored their new surroundings. Finn watched his planet disappear, not with regret, but with hope for new beginnings. For healing beyond isolation, for sanctuary among the stars. For the first time in years, he answered, I am.